Last week, hip-hop artist and businessman Jay-Z decided to voice his concern over the Occupy Wall Street movement. You see, Jay-Z just didn't get it. And in an interview with New York Times Magazine, he said the following. He said, "I'm not going to park and picnic. I have no idea what to do. I don't know what the fight is about. What do we want? Do you know?" And then he says, yeah, the 1% that's robbing people and deceiving people, that's criminal. That's bad. Not being an entrepreneur. This is free enterprise. This is what America is built on. All of this coming from the same guy whose Rock-aware clothing line banked off selling T-shirts reading "Occupy all streets." Confused? So am I. But the point of this rant is not to vilify Jay-Z. Rather, today I would like to talk to you about the man who so eloquently defended the movement that's been tirelessly defending you and me, the 99%. That man is Russell Simmons. You see, Simmons, Jay-Z's friend and fellow hip-hop artist, superstar, millionaire, penned an open letter in response called "Jay-Z is right 99 times, but this ain't one." He said, "So Jay, here's the deal. You're rich, I'm rich, but today it's close to impossible to be you or me to get out of Marcy Projects or Hollis, Queens without changing our government to have our politicians work for the people who elect them and not the special interests and corporations that pay them." What Simmons is able to explain is that Jay-Z just couldn't get is that calling out the 1% is not about throwing the fault out at entrepreneurs who have ambition or are successful. The problem is that the 1% of the corporate establishment that exerts more influence over our politicians than we do. That's the way Russell Simmons sees it. And that's because, unlike so many celebrities who superficially say they support the movement or just bank off Occupy T-shirts to make a quick buck, Russell Simmons has a first-hand account of what the movement actually means. In fact, he was at Zuccotti Park and also the Boston encampment almost every day for months. And this is what he had to say about his experience. He said, "I listened to the young people talk about their 99 problems, the 99%, healthcare reform, prison industrial complex, the war machine, lack of access to affordable higher education, genetically modified food, gay rights, immigration reform, crumbling housing projects, climate change." Every day, there was a new protester with a new sign fighting for the rights of the underserved. Look, we've got 99 problems. We are the 99%. Russell Simmons gets that, and that's why he is our hero of the day. So if he's the hero, who is the villain? Well, this is a man that needs no introduction at all. Take a look at this clip from CBN's The 700 Club.
This first one comes from Michael, who says, "My wife has become a real problem. She has no respect for me as the head of the house. She insults me. She even went as far as stretching her hand to beat me. I've lost my self-confidence. Her words hurt so much, and she refuses to talk through our problems. Please tell me what I can do."
Well, you could become a Muslim, then you could beat her.
But in lieu of that.
You don't want to go to Saudi Arabia?
No.
You know, I think this man's got to stand up to her, and he can't let her get away with this stuff. And, you know, I don't know. I don't think we condone wife beating these days, but something's got to be done to make her.
That was awkward. Ain't nothing like a preacher who preaches hate, huh? Yes, Pat Robertson is still alive and well and spouting off at the mouth per usual. But this time, he's turned to Muslims and women, giving great advice, saying, hey, if you want to beat your wife, no problem. Just become a Muslim. They beat their wives, right? But it gets worse. He goes on to say that as a man, he's got to stand up to his wife and put her in her place, essentially condoning wife beating. By the way, here's a fun side note. When my producers tried to find that original video on CBN's website, they found the entire video with the incendiary wife beating comments completely edited out, vanished. But listen, if you're going to be bold enough to say what you said, then you should be bold enough to allow everyone to see it. Pat Robertson does a disservice to us in so many ways, because in reality, he's a leader in the eyes of many. He has an elevated voice. And the people who look to him as a man of God, a man who can differentiate between right and wrong, well, unfortunately, they take his words as scripture itself. So for those of you who would like to write him off as that nutty fringe character who should just be ignored, I caution you. Because this same nutty character was just hanging out with the man who could potentially be the next president of the United States, Mitt Romney. That's right. Last week on the campaign stop in Virginia, Mitt Romney brought along his new buddy, Pat. Got to make sure to get that Christian vote. And what a great partnership indeed, especially considering Robertson has already been overly critical of the Democratic Party for omitting God from the DNC platform. Let's take a look at what Pat had to say about that.
I don't know what you label the Democrats now, but it's the party of gays, godliness, and whatever else.
And Romney is still strolling all over town with this man, or at least when it's convenient for him, of course. So you see, this is the one preacher who has more influence than we all care to admit. And that's why Pat Robertson, this infamous televangelist, is our villain of the day.